our podcast is just starting to turn a corner, and by that I mean like getting 2,000 views on videos. But you know, it starts there, and it's starting to go. So
what's the name? Because I saw you have a podcast. What's the name of your show?
The Bench Seat. It's
and you talk mostly about basketball, right?
Yeah, it's with me. This guy who's the NBA player, Georges Niang. He's on the Cavs. It helps a lot that he's on the best team in the fucking league right now, which is fucking sick for us. And he's hilarious. He's like fucking hilarious.
But it's great having like you. It's like the dichotomy of like the actual NBA player, and then you ball, but like, you know what I mean?
I pretend like I know what I'm talking about.
Like, you dropped 31 in
the men's league,
right? Like in the men's league, and that's world record breaking.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that means more to your followers than him playing and dropping 31 on actually.
Yeah,
like, all right, sick, dude. Let's watch Kev fucking drop 31. That's one of my favorite videos you've ever made, actually.
Oh, that was, are we rolling? Are we going?
We just roll, man.
Fuck yeah. That's like what Theo Vaughn does every episode. It's like, are we rolling? Like, yeah, we're going.
Yeah.
Dude, that was as soon as so I was paying like this kid from Seton Hall to like come shoot content because I was gonna try a long form thing. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this like YouTube series. Yeah. I'm like, so come film the games. I'll talk shit on the mic and like whatever. It'll be funny. And because it's like a chubby guy playing basketball. Like I'm not out there trying to be good.
Yeah,
like,
but you're not bad.
But I'm not bad. Right. I play a lot of basketball. Right. So it's like, and it's one of my loves. Like, you know, I was a basketball coach for forever. So then this one game happens, and as soon as it happens, it's like, you know, when like you play sports, I'm sure. You
wrestle, football,
okay. So either of those, you get into a flow state, and you're like, okay, everything's going in today. Like it doesn't matter what's happening. I just, for whatever reason, I was having that game, and I'm like laughing during the game because I'm like, this is going to be incredible content.
So are you mic'd up?
I was mic'd up,
dude.
I was talking shit, and then I was like, all right, dude, just make a short form. I was like, but don't do any of my like mic'd up shit. Just do like, you know, I just was thinking of those videos of Kobe scoring 81 where they put the number.
I like how in the video you kept reminding everyone, by the way, this is my 31-point game. You'd be like, another one, drop 2, 31-point game. Dude, but you're
score 34. You got to be able to, I was just whatever, stupid shit. But
your style of content is just so organic. Like it's so you, and like I notice it's not like, it'd be hard to replicate that, and I think that's a good thing for you to have, and then it probably does translate over really well if you wanted to start doing long form, because people like you at a minute. Maybe they'll love you at 30 minutes. It may be hard, but eventually
it's hard to always. Well, thank you for saying that first off, and it's the same with you guys. It's why your content works, because it's just you. It's you and your dad. It's like you guys, and I think that's everybody. Everybody who makes good content, it's because it's just them. Now, of course, you ratchet it up a little bit, like Bob, for example, the best, who we love. Yeah. Bob is that guy. Yes. Like that's who he is. Now, of course, when he gets in his car, he ratchets it up a little bit because it's hilarious. Like hearing him talk about a tuna sandwich is just unbelievable. Right. But that's who he is, you know, and it comes through. Like, and same with you guys. And so that's I take that as a compliment because it feels like I'm trying to be organic. So, or at least not trying. I'm just being me. But yeah, it's anytime you switch to like a new form of media, it's takes a little bit. It's hard to it's hard to get it going. You have to find out who you are too, you know, like who you are in that long form. Even with TikTok, like it's different shit. Like, you know, you can post the same shit, which I usually do, but it's not always going to translate, you know. So
where did you start? Because the name Grill Guy, you don't grill too much to be named Grill Guy.
It's like that's a whole story that I can tell a very spark-noted version of.
You could tell the entire story.
Okay, so I was a teacher. I was living 2 blocks away and was teaching and coaching basketball, and I was going to be happy doing that. I was going to do that for the rest of my life. I was a head varsity basketball coach. Like that was the pinnacle for me. That's what I worked to get towards. And then I had a kid, and this is in the pandemic in 2021. So it's like still, you can't really do much. In 2020, I got a job. I was bored. Like genuinely in the summer, I was just bored. I got a job working construction. Like I was building basketball courts.
That's what you did because you were bored?
I literally said to my wife, I'm going crazy. I need like a job outdoors. And like, it's the summertime and school was like out. So I just did that for the summer, and it was really fun. Okay. I used to bartend. I always did second jobs.
Right.
So 2021 came around, and I was like, I have a kid. I'm not going to be gone all day. And I was like thinking about what the fuck am I going to do? You know, like this summer, like obviously the kid's going to be there, but I need something to do. And a friend of mine reached out to me. His name's Scott. And he's like, hey, I work for this social media company called Doing Things Media. And we're developing a show about a millennial dad who grills. And it's just like basically a grilling show. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, I'm a very subpar cook. Like I love cooking, but I'm not like, like I've never taken a cooking class, but like, he's like, anytime I picture a millennial dad, I picture you. And I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'll try. And so my first like however many videos are me like trying to do a grilling show. It's like very bad and weird and not organic at all. Like it was me with that camera like set up on a fucking tripod.
Now did he pitched you the idea for you to then kind of pilot it for yourself, or he was going to now take
it was going to run with Doing Things.
Really?
Yeah. So again, which is how Bob and I know each other. Doing Things does the Bob Does Sports. It's
right. Okay, that's why I know the name.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So the idea was that page, Grill Guy, is the name of the show. The show was Grill Guy.
And you're a grill guy.
And I was Kevin, who's doing this show. But I was still teaching at the time, so I didn't want to ever like put in my personal Instagram. So those first videos, they would like tag my personal Instagram. I'd be like, don't tag me on this shit. Like I don't want my students finding this. So
they had to have found it eventually.
Eventually they did, which is why I like quit. Like
yeah, you don't want to.
Eventually all led to me quitting coaching and teaching. But so I was doing that for a while, and like again, it just felt weird, and it's just like this isn't like it's funny, I guess, but it really wasn't that funny.
Oh, you didn't find it funny?
I just didn't. I like would watch them and be like, yeah, this is okay, but like I just didn't. It's like wasn't me. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm shocked that like he kind of not that he took a chance on you, but like took a chance on you to do something you've never done before.
Yeah, and like he'll tell you, this guy Scott, by the way, is like he's like a social media like guru. He's great at what he does. He developed the Bob Does Sports thing. Like he like put that together. I don't know if you know recess therapy, which is like a huge thing that also is a Doing Things medium.
Yeah.
He kind of pieced that together also. Obviously there are so many other things that go into these shows. I'm not only giving Scott credit, but Scott is great at putting shit together.
Okay, so the Grill Guy show came from what, basically?
Yeah, so basically Scott was like, this guy was like, try this show. And so I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And it was supposed to be, again, that Instagram page was supposed to be the show, but it eventually morphed into me doing like skits.
Okay.
And then the balance of like cooking to skits started shifting because one, the skits were much more like natural to me. Yeah. But then two, they also did much better than me fucking cooking a bratwurst, you know?
So as soon as you identified like, hey, these videos crush, these videos aren't performing as well, did you even have to tell Scott, or you kind of just like naturally said?
No, Doing Things great because they like basically tell you to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to like manage talent because it's like, hey, do what's right for you and do what is going to make sense for you because that's going to make sense for the audience.
I mean, yeah, as long as you're not going to go rogue, you know what I mean? Yeah. And go start cursing and being crazy, you know
which I wasn't going to do anyway because, again, this whole time I was still the head varsity basketball coach of Middletown North, which is like in the Shore Conference is like these schools are like covered by local media, you know, like it's like big.
So
like,
you're trying to be serious yelling at your students and like, dude, we just saw you talk about a chicken parm sandwich that your coworker brought in. I'm not taking you serious at all.
Correct.
How can they, I mean, they start yelling, they go like this to you. You're like, fuck.
My last game coaching, I remember my last game coaching, it's like all my kids had like found me and they would make jokes about it like during the season, but they never really.
What would they say?
Just be like say I made a video about a chicken parm. They'd be like, so that chicken parm, huh, coach?
Yeah, and, like,
and I would just ignore it, be like, shut up, you know, like, haha. But the last game, it was like, you know, you have that, the seniors are leaving. It's like an emotional,
the senior night, yeah.
Dude, high school, when high school sports ends for kids, it's emotional.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, and it's a huge deal for the coach too, because it's like these kids are like, you know, they become your family. So it's like, in the emotion of all that night, then they just started like bombarding me with like Grill Guy shit. Like, nah, coach, really, I knew you were blah, blah, blah. And they just like, they revealed way more than I knew.
That's so funny though, man.
Which was hilarious and awesome. And in a way it connected us because it's like, you know, these kids are on TikTok and I'm on TikTok, right? So it's like in a weird way it connects us.
Yeah. Do you talk to any of the students now?
Oh yeah. Did
they ever ask like, hey, let me get in the video?
No, but they'll like comment on
funny.
like shit with me and Niang or whatever, like hoop stuff, or they'll send me DMs and shit. But then it was like that off season I had to really like look at myself and be like, okay, I'm doing this full time, which I was at the time. Coaching is always like, I never thought I wouldn't coach. Like there was no world in 2021 that I wasn't going to spend my life coaching.
Yeah.
But then things change. Your kids, now all of a sudden my kid like needs me a little more. He's 1, 2. So it's like, this time is super precious. This life on the internet affords you to be super flexible.
Yeah.
Affords you to be home while making a much better living than you would be as a teacher. So, which is crazy to even say, but it's true. And so it's like, you know what, if I don't give this a shot, if I don't give this like a true shot, I can always go back to coaching and teaching.
Yeah.
If I don't give this a true shot, like then I'm doing myself a disservice.
Got it.
So that off season, there was another coach who actually was on the staff at UConn, like right before they won the championship, and he was moving home. It just was like serendipitous. Right. I'm like, dude, you need to take this program over. He was a much better coach than I ever could be. Coached Division I, and he did a great job with the program. And now the program's in someone else's hands, and it's a different, in the past kind of. But yeah,
would you call yourself an intense coach?
Oh yeah, dude. Like I wasn't like
funny.
Like I guess that's always part of my personality, and like as a teacher, definitely. So like if I had my players in my classroom,
right,
they saw that side of me. I fuck around with kids and like, spent my day making fun of kids, and they make fun. It's like that's how you pass the time.
Right.
No, but it was business on the court. Like it was like that was the one place I was like serious. Like
And now, did you play in college?
No, I mean I tell people I did, but I got cut from a Division III college.
So you played?
I played.
Why'd you get cut?
Just for like 2 weeks. So I went to Temple.
Okay.
Wasn't going to play after high school. Went to Temple. Was drinking my life away. Gained 30 pounds. Like I got into a little trouble. Nothing serious, but I don't know if you know. Like Temple, like Philly is just insane. Like there's fights every weekend, and it's just like I got into some bad ones and just was drinking too much. And at 21, I was a junior. I decided I was going to go transfer and try like to relive this dream, like try to go play Division III basketball. I always knew I wanted to be a coach and a teacher. Yeah. And so at 21, left Temple, spent like 6 months working out, was in great shape, was dunking the basketball. Like it was I couldn't have gotten any better at basketball.
Right.
But my absolute best basketball is probably like a 8th man on a pretty middle of the road Division III team. And this team I went to in Bridgewater State was like ranked 9th in the country preseason.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. They had like 40 kids try out. And yeah, they were like, no, dude, you're 21. You're 21 and you're not that good.
I forgot 21 is like almost
it's
you're old now at that point.
I had a year of eligibility. And it's like they had freshmen that were like
dude, get the fuck off the team.
Like, dude, you're balding.
Yeah, go make TikToks.
Like, how about we go get a beer after this?
Yeah, oh my, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like in a dorm. I went back and lived in a dorm too.
You're like, what am I doing here? At 21
it was cool. Like, as corny as it sounds, you want to look back at those things like these big jumps. Like that was probably the first like big jump I took as like an adult, where it's like, if this doesn't work out, it's going to look really stupid. And like it does. Like,
but it doesn't, because you're not allowing it to.
It doesn't for me, because I look back and I'm like, I never skipped a workout. I did, like, it'd be one thing if I went to this tryout or whatever, and it was like, I didn't really give it everything I had. I dropped everything and gave it everything I had, So I look back like it would have been great to get the payoff, but I don't regret it like at all. And plus that experience like got me my first coaching job at like 25. So
got it. So it led to something.
Yeah, it led to something.
Yeah.
So
you're very self-aware to say like, hey, I gave it my all and I just still wasn't good enough, transparently.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people need to be way more self-aware, because it saves you the embarrassment. It keeps you happy is the wrong word, but just like understanding of reality a little bit. You know what I mean? I think when you try new things, and especially like, I can relate it to jiu-jitsu, for example. You look at guys that are trying to train and they look at the top dudes in the world and they're like, I'm never going to be there. Well, like, number one, no shit.
Yeah.
But number two, like, look at your lifestyle versus their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Genetically blessed or not, you're not doing what these guys are doing, and nor do you really want to.
Yeah,
like,
your
when you
whole
take
life.
a step back, do you want to obsess over one thing and one thing only?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, then commit to it. But if the answer is no, which it most likely is going to be, accept where you are and appreciate the sport for what it is.
Yeah.
It's
and get the best as
life.
you can at it.
Of course.
Within your parameters.
Right. I think that's a really good lesson, obviously, for yourself and for other people. Like, I don't care what your best looks like. Try to get to the best for you in anything in life, because now you know what it feels like to work really, really hard. And you probably can look back and still feel a ton of like, you know, confidence and contentment in the process versus like I passed or failed, whatever that mission was.
Yeah. Well, if you leave your like result or like your validation up to what it looks like on the outside, then it's going to feel like a failure, because it's like you set a goal that you didn't reach.
Yeah.
But if you leave it up to yourself, like how do I feel about that experience? I feel like, you know, if I'm tooting my horn, like that was a difficult thing to do. Like the other option of that would probably have been like dropping out of school and like working at a fucking Chili's and being a district manager and fucking getting drunk and whatever.
Kept you on the right path.
Yeah, for me. And also, like, again, I look back to it and it's like, okay, I dedicated myself to something. Now I can like check that off my list. Like, hey, I try crazy shit. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least I want to try it. Yeah. And I think that led me to like this. It's like, probably the smart decision was to keep teaching, you know, but taking a risk. And, you know, luckily I have like a great support system. My wife allowed me to do this and has like supported me the whole time. So I wouldn't have been able to do that without her. But, you know, you just take leaps. Like, fuck it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Like,
you got to take one leap to realize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But think about how many people just don't take the leap.
Yeah.
And then they feel like they're too old. Like at 21, a lot of people would feel too old to be like, I missed my moment. I can't go back and play basketball. Who am I kidding, type of thing. Yeah. And you're like, fuck it. Let me at least try it.
Might as well try it, and then trying content at 35.
Dude, like that's the again, I look at content creators and I think I'm 29. I'm like, oh, I missed the wave. You know, I'm not 21, 22 anymore. I can't go out and fuck around and do whatever I want to do and make these crazy videos. But it's like, you are who you are. Your content is you. So dude, like you can make content. Why not?
Like my generation, these 30 to 40-year-olds grew up with the internet. Right. Like people think we're old. We are old, but we've had the internet our whole life. Yeah. So like we're still on the internet. And guess what? When we're 40 and 50, and we're still going to be on the internet. Correct. So it's like creators should match that, right? Or like entertainment. Like, you know, 40-year-olds watch a certain brand of entertainment on the television. Why wouldn't there be an opportunity for there to be a 40-year-old creator, you know?
But you know, you do a really good job with, you're obviously very relatable to your age, Dem, but you make content like you know and you're hip with it. You know what I mean? Like the quality is great. You're not like fucking around. Like you don't have terrible transitions. Yeah. The lighting isn't terrible. Like you look at dudes trying to make content in their 40s and like, bro, dude, what are you doing? Go tell your son to film for you, man, because that looks like shit.
I probably was like that early on. But I like made a conscious effort. Like, dude, I don't want to be spending 3 hours editing a video.
You shouldn't either.
So I just like, if my phone can go on a fucking stand and I can film it and not have to edit, just like trim the ends. Yeah. Then I'm like, you know, that's an easy video.
They say, what do they call like the millennial pause? Like most millennials will but you can make fun of it, you know what I mean? Because you I know, but now I'm like
super. Thank God I'm on the internet, like watching those videos, because I'm like, don't let that happen.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, you're more with it because you're on it. You know? You probably know more than most 25-year-olds because you're fucking doing it.
Well, dude, same with you. Like, if you're gonna be doing this, it's like anything, dude. Like your jujitsu. If you're gonna go do it, you're gonna fucking learn as much as you can about it. Because then, what's the point of doing it then? You know, if you can't like become the best version of yourself on it, you know, you're wasting your time. So for me, it's like I try to learn about the shit and stay on top of trends. And part of it is I'm addicted to my phone and I just doom scroll. Yeah, but the other half is like, you know, this is my job. I should spend a few hours doing this, you know?
The coolest part about, I think, what we do versus like, let's say basketball or training for a sport, you have a time cap and then you have like a skill cap, right? Like, so for example, you literally could not go back and play college basketball right now, right? Yes. They wouldn't allow you to. Yes. Skill wise, you could bust your ass and try, work hard every day. And at 35 years old, it's going to be very hard for you to hang with dudes that are 18, 19 years old. With this, though, there really is no foreseeable ceiling. Like, you could go as high as you really want to go, and that's what's exciting for me. Every time you think you're working hard, you're like, if I just work twice as hard, who knows where I can take this brand, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's crazy to think that. Like, the possibilities are really limitless. And, like, with both of our situations, it's like branching out to different forms of what you're doing. You know? Like your shit is so sellable. It's like,
thank you.
You guys have done a great job. Like I can think of off the top of my head, 1 million brands that would want to work with you because you've made it sellable and while also being super entertaining. Yeah. And then for me, it's like comedy. There's so many other things like live shows or like.
Have you ever thought about doing a live show?
Yeah, I'm going to put this beanie back on.
Do whatever you want, man. You can
Dude, I don't know how to wear a beanie. Can
Bro,
you
I think the way you're wearing the beanie is fucking hilarious.
Should I do it like this?
No, you should do it the way you had it
like
because it's so funny.
I think this is good. I'll go with this. Maybe like, what was that movie Friday where the guy
That's exactly what you look like, bro. That's what I thought when you came in. I was like, but that's
what's up, bro?
But that's what I wanted to see.
I still don't know how to, but my head's cold. Right. So I got to wear the beanie. Yeah, I've done some stand-up. That's like a 2025 goal is really.
How hard is that?
Dude, the first time I did stand-up, I shit my pants.
Really?
Dude, I was so bad. Because like, I went to an open mic, which I don't know if you've ever been to an open mic.
Yeah.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
They're so bad.
And I went to one in like the suburbs of New Jersey on a Wednesday night.
Did you
in
prep
like
for it,
Somerville? Oh yeah. Okay. That's probably what did me in. Really? Because I was so like, okay, this is what I'm going to say. And like, I don't even do my videos like that really.
Right.
Like some of them I do, but like a lot of them I just like go or like have an idea of what I'm going to say and then kind of just like go. I got up, it was like probably 15 silent comics, and they're not even comics. They're just like dudes who try to do comedy and like a couple comics. And I just shit the bed. I mean, it was dead silence. And then like, when you get so nervous that your mouth gets dry.
Man, it's hot in here, huh? Anybody got a water out there?
This thing on?
What the?
It's like a
water over here.
Yeah, give me a water. The guy's like, flash me 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I got a couple more. Dude, it was bad. But then like, everyone always says like, it probably wasn't as bad as you thought it was. But I'm like, nah, it was pretty fucking bad.
You said I got a couple more.
Yeah.
Yank me off this bitch.
Hurry up, give me off.
Yeah, but it's funny because like your content, you double down on like the jokingly nervous, stumbling over your words guy. Like you could have used that bit.
I know. So then I did a show at like a local bar, Blue Haven. I don't know if you know Blue Haven.
Yeah, of course.
So like my best friends own that bar.
No shit.
Yeah. Like,
which one? Both?
All of them.
Okay.
So the one in West Village,
yeah,
I used to work at. And my really good friend Scott was the GM. And obviously we became close to the owners who own a bunch of bars, Irish people.
I'm trying to think, do you know, my cousin who went there, Eddie Porter used to go there all the time, but the kid Alex Bronzo worked there. Gent worked there a little bit.
Alex
Bronzo.
Eddie Porter actually does sound familiar. Like I saw his card.
If you knew my cousin, it'd be hilarious.
I probably
saw his card.
No, I'm just saying that name. You see names.
He was there all the time.
The OG one in West Village.
Yeah.
And in like 2018, because then he 100%.
I got to shoot him.
If he came on Sundays, 100%.
He was there very frequently, so I will give him a call.
That name sounds familiar. And if he was like a regular, I definitely know him. That's how I met my wife, by the way.
No shit.
Yeah, I was bartending on Sundays. She lived upstairs in the apartment building, like literally upstairs.
Yeah.
She was like a regular. One thing led to another, and then now we're married. With kids 5 years later or whatever. Jesus. But I started doing a show at the one Blue Haven South, which my friend Abby and Scott own. And then I found my voice a lot. Like it takes time. It's like anything. Like you have to find your voice in that medium. It's a totally different, telling a joke in a skit form is very different from telling a joke in like just a speaking form.
Yeah.
It's like two totally different ways to tell a joke. And as you get more comfortable, you get better at it. But dude, the first time was rough.
I can't even. Do you think your content translates over well as like a good selling point for people on TikTok or on Instagram?
What do you mean, like
is it similar to what you do, or would I watch your comedy show and be like, oh wait, this isn't the same guy?
No, like I think for me, like I wouldn't want my live show to be just a rehash of the shit I do on the internet.
You want it to be different. I
want it to be the same observational kind of like take on life, but I'm not going to do 17 LeBron impressions. You know what I mean?
You could.
But I could do that.
I know you're, yeah.
No, like I want to give a unique show, you know? Yeah. And like I'm working hard on building that. And like one thing I don't want to do is, cause like I could sell tickets right now. Like, you know, if we're being frank, like if you have a following, you can usually sell tickets. Yeah. But I don't want to sell tickets if I don't feel like my shit's funny yet. You know, and
I was gonna say, 'cause I haven't seen you really promote the shows.
I haven't. No, like that was on purpose. It's like I'm hosting a show with comedians, and I'm like building a set, and like I want to feel at least like serviceable at it before I start charging people. Like I want to put on a show. You know, I don't want to just roll out there and fucking, you know, be charging people and being like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" You know? I don't want to do that.
And not that you get one shot at it, but like you do have a large audience. You don't want to have them now be like, "Oh wait, this is what the guy does." Yeah, that sucked. You gotta time it, I think, perfectly and be like, "Okay, now I'm ready," and they know you're gonna get better. But like,
and like, dude, I'm not gonna be great. It takes years.
But your starting point has to be, because of your audience, like above ground level.
Yeah, you gotta laugh. Like you gotta come and laugh, because if you're sitting in the audience like awkward,
it would ruin. But then it would ruin. I'm not putting the pressure on you. It would ruin the So I went to the Basement Yard. You know the Basement Yard podcast, the two Joe Santagato and the kid Frankie.
Yeah,
fucking hilarious. And I watch their clips all the time. Yep. And my cousin's a really big fan of theirs, and she's like, "Do you want to watch their live show?" And I was like, "I've never seen a live podcast. I want to just see how they work."
Yeah.
And I get to this podcast. Are you
about to shit on them right now?
No, don't worry. Just wait. So they sell out the Radio City Music Hall, by the way, which is like
sick.
Sell it out, bro. Yeah. It's fucking insane. They're selling T-shirts and sweatshirts, $100 a pop. People are buying them. We get there, and the pre-show, I forget what the dude's name was that, like, I guess emceed the whole thing.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. What freaked me the fuck out was the fandom of the people there. Like, they had like this pre-show that like they weren't even on yet. And these people were obsessively screaming, making me feel so, I was like, this is what you guys are yelling for? There's nobody even on here yet. They walk on stage, and even they felt like, we didn't even make a joke yet. Why are you laughing? Like, dude, they didn't, it was like an awkward, they go crazy just to see these guys. And I'm mad that it didn't ruin it for me, but my cousin and I, we looked at each other like, you want to leave? 20 minutes in, and she's like,
shit.
I was like, I didn't want to ruin the brand for me. Yes, but I still love watching their content.
Because that's their fans. That's not them.
Yeah, but they were even like, what are you guys doing? Just shut up. Let us talk. You know what I mean?
That's why it's like, if you do stand up, like you're, as a creator, you have a leg up because people know who you are and they're fans, so they're excited, so they're gonna laugh.
They'll laugh. You could say a bad joke, and
people
are
like, if they don't know who you are, you're just a comic starting out. Like you say a bad joke, they're like, "Who the fuck is this dude?"
Yeah,
you know?
dude.
You have context, like so it makes it a little easier for like creators.
Yeah.
Which is probably why comics hate. You know, a lot of comics are like, you know, fuck these creators that are like, you know, headlining gigs and never have done a show before, and I can understand it. You know,
yeah, it's like anything else. You know what I mean? Like influencers or whatever you want to call them online, they do get such an advantage and leverage on like the real life people.
Yeah,
but it's like your grind was different than their grind. They did
and also
the same
like
shit.
Then don't go on the fucking internet.
Exactly.
Because if you're trying to build a following on the internet, shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
And 9 out of 10 of them are.
Right. You're mad that you can't build the following they have online.
Yeah.
Like you've amassed, you know, probably over 1 million followers across the board at this point.
No, I'm like maybe 500,000, a little more than 500,000.
Okay, on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, I have like 330 something on Instagram, and then like 150 on TikTok. So
yeah, but even that, like that, amassing that amount of following and then the engagement you have is not easy at all. We think it's like, you know, regular day because it's what we do, but like you take a step back, you're like, I got 1,000 likes on this video in an hour. Like, what are we talking about? It's
crazy.
You know what I mean?
Or like comments, I'm like, the real number is like, you know, because shares are really what you got to look at, because that's people saying, I want other people to see this, which is the coolest. And it's like incognito. So like comments, you know, I never, when I consumed TikTok, I never commented on people's.
Hell no.
I never did. It's just, I didn't do it. And like, you know, because it's like almost embarrassing. Because it's like, what if my friend sees me commenting, like trying to make a joke, you know?
Yeah.
I don't look at that now that way, but that's how I looked at it back then. So the one I like to look at is like shares. If I have a lot of shares, that means people are like, dude, watch this. This is funny. Yeah. And that's cool. That's like, you know, if you try to find fulfillment, it's like, you know what, you're giving not just, you know, the 300,000 people, you know, laughs.
Yeah.
They're sending it to people too.
It's almost like you see the number, but it's very hard to believe. You're like, wait, somebody sent this to their friend and said, "Yo, look at this grill guy. He's
Sick.
hilarious." You're like, you don't believe it. You're like, there's no way they even said that as a like. My friends will send me my videos or screenshot their friends sending them their video and be like, "I love these guys," and I'm like, no fucking way they actually said that.
So weird.
It just doesn't make sense.
Cool.
To us. Yeah,
like I'm sure you've experienced this where, like, say like a cousin or someone you went to high school with, like someone you're in contact with but don't talk too often, will reach out and be like, dude, I was on this group text and they kept sending your stuff. They had no idea I knew you or no idea we grew up together. And I had to be on this group chat like, dude, that's my boy.
Right.
Those are always like my favorite stories because it's like, it's just cool. It's
you
like,
see your boys get, you now decipher who's like your real friends and not.
Yeah, of course.
The ones that are like, who? Kevin? Like, fucking, he's not even that funny.
Dude,
or the guy that's like, that's my fucking best friend. You know what I mean? Kevin, the dude that fucking did. You see him trying to play basketball. Fucking, guy's a dick.
It's funny. Like, it is really cool to see. And yeah, you don't get it. Like, I remember, like one of the first times, again, it was like the pandemic. So you're building this following as you're not going out a lot.
Yeah.
And then like, I remember I went to a concert in like 2022 and it was like the first time I was really like out in New York City since like I'd been built. And it was like all these people coming up to me and it blew my mind. I was like nervous and like so awkward because I didn't know what to say when people would say hi to me. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, and then my wife's like standing there and I'm like trying not, I'm like, it's my wife, Erin. Hi. It's so weird. But it's like, that's the first time that it's like real. You're like, oh shit. Like people are seeing these videos. It's like a wild phenomenon.
You get better and better, I think, at handling, I guess, people coming up to you because you're like, they're so excited. And again, think about like you and I. If you walked across your favorite creator back in the day, you probably would have never said anything. Now you would because you understand how good it kind of feels. Yep. But like, think about how many people see you, don't say anything, and then take that number and a fraction of those people are actually coming up to you. That's nuts.
And like when like you're like at a restaurant or something, and you just feel the eyes just glaring at you, and you're like, okay, dude. You're like, a lot of times it's like they don't. A lot of times what it is they're not like that's Grill Guy. They're like, I've seen that asshole's face before. I don't know where I've seen it.
They know your name is. They just don't. That's their like segue. I see. Oh, you friends with some? I was like, TikTok. Yeah, I fucking knew it. Then say it.
I've had a couple where they've been like, oh, dude, are you from like Kansas City? And I'll be like, no. They're like, no, yeah, you must be from Kansas City. I'm like, no, dude, you probably know me from the internet. Nope. No, that's not it. I think you're from Kansas City. It's like, dude, no, I'm not.
You can admit that you saw me on TikTok. It's
or just like in their mind, they're like, they've probably scrolled across me and it's a familiar face, but they can't put it to what the fuck it is.
Exactly. Yeah, they just know we had a kid, he was hammered at the Eagles game and he walks up and I'm happy to be filming because I filmed my dad and I pan out and the dude goes, yo, stares at me, goes, Tommy drinks. And I was like, yeah. He's like, go Birds. I'm like, so he DM'd me. He's like, bro, I was so hammered. I knew your name. I just don't know why I blanked. The moment I got nervous, I was like, dude, sorry. And I put him in the video saying Tommy drinks. But the best thing, so my dad, again, he's older. So like, he loves this shit. And so if he feels the eyes, he'll go up to him and be like, oh, yada, yada. He'll start the conversation. Yeah. But the funniest thing he does is if they see, let's say they see him and not me first, they'll see him, they yell Johnny Drinks, and he'll be like, that's my son. He's the camera guy. I'm like, don't fucking call me the camera, you dick. He's like, that's the guy who holds the camera all the time. You know him too? I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Like, I'm the reason you're here right now.
So funny. First off, it's so cool. Like to get sappy, it's got to be so cool for your dad to be doing this with you because like, my dad is older too. My dad's like 68. My dad just doesn't get he doesn't understand it. Meaning like he's on the internet, he sees the number, but like I remember I went to go visit him. He lives in like outskirts, like northern Illinois. It's not even the suburbs really of Chicago. It's like northern Illinois. It's like farm town kind of. Okay. There's like local bars that are like you can picture the type of dive bar. And he's having a Christmas party and he orders food from one of those dive bars. And it's like, Saturday morning, Saturday, 11 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And he's like, come with me, let's go get the food. I'm like, okay. So we go in, there's like probably 5 groups of locals, and like 1 or 2 people. Like it's not a lot of people in this bar, probably 15 altogether. And it's like super quiet. And we walk in and some guy goes, no shit, Grill Guy. And my dad was like, what the fuck? He's like, you know this asshole?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know him. And he's like, wait, you know him from the internet? And it like all started clicking, and he just started shitting on me, like in the most dad funny way.
Yeah.
This guy used to shit his pants.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's
Dad,
like,
come on. They think I'm cool.
Exactly. It's like, you know, it's funny. But as like a father now, it's like, it would be so cool if my son was still like, hanging out with me when we're, when I'm 50, 60, whatever.
Yeah. And like, I think it's cool. I got to take a step back and tell myself it's cool.
Yeah.
Or like really to appreciate it. He doesn't have to do that. He's like, I'm filming TikToks with my son, and I made a business out of it, and I can watch him grow, and we could do this thing together. And even if it wasn't making us money, it wasn't building, like we're doing, I say all the time, like, or he says all the time, if you want to bond with your son or your daughter, find something to do together. I don't care what it is. Yeah. We happen to find something that now we work,
make money from,
which is whatever. But like, we just do. I would never see my dad as much as I do now.
Yeah, of course.
If I wasn't doing this, 3 times a week going back home to film with him, there's no shot.
And like, dude, it's never gonna be as cool for the son.
No, and that's an unfortunate part.
It's an unfortunate part, and like you'll really appreciate it later in life, probably.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you like you're young, you don't understand thing. I'm not giving that. I'm just saying like when you become a father, something changes, and you picture yourself. You're like, damn, like. You picture yourself doing that with your son, and it's the best. It's the best.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's cool, dude.
Because that's like
there.
I really am looking forward to that kind of stage in my life. But the top comments we normally get would be like, obviously we love you guys. Either a son that says I don't have a dad, or I wish I had this with my dad.
Yeah.
But I'm so shocked how many in the reverse we get too. Is like, I hope one day, my son is 3 years old, 4 years old. I hope one day that we have this exact bond.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's like. Eventually, I don't know if you want to be a father, I'm sure.
Of course, yeah, one day
you'll get there someday.
Yeah,
and you'll get it. It's like it's so annoying to hear these type of things. Like you don't understand because you're not a parent. It's so annoying to hear that, and like I get it, and it's annoying for me to say it. But there's like how there's like a huge change. Like remember when you left high school and you went to college. Mm-hmm. And then you came back home for the first time and like your hometown just looked different.
Yeah.
Do you know that feeling?
Felt different, yeah.
Yeah. It's like you go to that first homecoming football game and you're like, you're only 6 months removed, but you're like, dude, this is not, I'm so different.
Yeah.
That's the exact thing that happens when you have like a kid. Everything is, you just look at shit different, I
would assume it's like the first moment in your life that you really, everybody says like, oh, I'm not selfish. But it's probably the first moment in your life where like, I'm truly not I care more about this person way more than I care about myself right now.
Like way more.
That's an insane feeling because I can't imagine that.
It's like I had a friend explain it to me, their experience. It's like so true. He's like, you get into the hospital, right? And like, it's still not real. Like, it's not even real when you get home. It's like the whole thing is just like crazy. But he's like, you're sitting in the hospital bed and it's all calm because like your wife's in labor, but she's not pushing yet. Mm-hmm. And then the doctor comes in and is like, okay, we're going to start pushing. And the moment you start pushing, it's basically like your whole life, you were on this airplane and then all of a sudden the pilot died. You have to fly this plane and it's complete chaos. Like your wife's like, and you're like, what the fuck? And you're like, what the fuck's going on? And then like a kid comes and you're like, oh shit. And then that night you have a child that you're responsible for like you're still in the hospital and like nurses help out, but like the child's waking up and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, they're like, this is your baby, dude. And it's like, no nurses are coming home with you, dude. And you're just like,
scared?
Of course. You like put the baby in the car seat and like we have a video, like we put the baby in the car seat and we're about to depart the hospital. And it's like, I'm like, are we on the video? I'm like, are we doing this?
Your wife's like, what? you're like, yeah, we're doing this, right?
It's like, dude, it's a crazy, because you're like, this little thing that you can't even really comprehend yet is going to turn into like us. It's going to have opinions and talk and is going to like, feel heartbreak or whatever. And like, and you're like, damn, dude, like this thing's going to die if I don't take care of it right.
This just got so real.
It got real. I know.
I don't have a kid and I feel like,
dude,
whoa.
It's not like I'm laughing because it's like, it seems like it's so scary. You're just like, biology kicks in. You're just like, let's fucking go. I'm ready to go. Like, I'll change this fucking diaper, like whatever. And you're not really scared because you're like, people that are far dumber that have far less stuff than you have, or like means, have made it work. So you'll be able to make it work, you know?
The adaptation of human is actually pretty incredible.
It's crazy.
You don't think you can do a lot of things. And then when you're forced to do things, you just do it.
Like I have a friend that's about to have a kid and he's like, what about this? What about that? What about this? I'm like, dude, you're never going to be fucking ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. You're not even ready when they give you the baby. You're not ready. Like and then all of a sudden you're just like at 2 a.m, your baby wakes up and you're feeding it a bottle and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. Yeah. Like whatever.
I think that's when you give your parents a lot of grace. It's like when you realize they really are. Like I look at you and how old is your son?
3.5 and a 1.5.
So like when I was 3, my dad was like you, like I guess.
What the fuck?
What the fuck are you doing? Like stop throwing up. And I look at my dad now and I'm like, you should know everything. Like, how did you get this wrong? And I'm like, why? It's his first time around.
Dude,
like it's my first
I love
time
that.
around,
Like,
you know?
I heard that on an internet video and it's so true. It's like, it's your first time doing this.
But unfortunately it took me until 29 to realize that. Like, I wish I had that feeling.
Yeah.
Because I remember I heard this on another podcast. It was like the 3 stages of like the father and son relationship. It's like you idolize, demonize, and then humanize your dad. So like when I was 17, 18, everything he did was right. And I could never match that. And then you start getting your own sense of self and like this ego enhances. You're like, well, wait, I could do this better than my dad. And what he just said wasn't right. And you start getting so upset at what they do and who they are. And then it goes back to like this equilibrium of like, wait, they're just people.
Just humans.
He fucks up just like I fuck up.
We all take shits.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, it's very true.
Yeah.
You go through a lot of, it's so funny how deep we're getting on this podcast, but it's cool.
Man. Yeah.
You go through a lot of like self-healing when you have a kid and you just give people some grace because you're like, we're all trying to figure this shit out, dude. And you realize, like me and my wife always joke, it's like, we're going to fuck our kids up somehow. Like we're very loving and we're present. Like, and there's times where we're like, put that, you know, she does it to me and I do it to her. And it's like, we're present. It's 4:00 on a Tuesday. These are the most important times in our lives.
Sure.
Like, let's put the phone down, whatever. With all that, with how much we care, with how much we're there for our kids, we're going to fuck our kids up.
Yeah.
Everybody fucks their kids up. That's part of like life. And I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean like, you know, you become a human and it's like hard. Like life is not easy. It's not always easy.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like reflection on your own childhood, which I never really thought about a lot as, you know, in my 20s or early 30s that I think about now. And, you know, it's cool. It's really fucking cool to see the circle of it, you know, circle of life.
Yeah, I would assume.
That's a Lion King song.
I like that, actually. We should sing that. There's going to be a moment where your son is like 17, 18 years old and he says to you one day like, well, I remember when I was 10, you did this to me. And that really fucked me up or that traumatized me. You'd be like, what?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that, dude. Get over it. But like these are things that stick with, I mean, it happens all the time where your parents are like, that never even happened. And you're like, it fucking happened. I know. I wouldn't make this shit up. I'm still talking about it to this day.
It bothers me still.
It bothers
I think
me,
about this,
Dad. Well, it's funny because yesterday at the Eagles game on Sunday, I won't even say what happened, but like my dad's like, remember that, you know, a couple things that whatever I did, and I was like, I guess. I was like, he's like, I'm sorry about that.
It's huge.
And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was reflecting, and I shouldn't have done that to you, and you know, I'm not proud of what I've done, and hopefully I think he said like, hopefully I'm a better dad now than I was then.
Isn't that amazing?
I was like, Dad, of course,
give
man.
him a
Like,
hug.
yeah, like what are you talking about? Of course, I don't hold grudges on anything, and of course now because like we just talked about, but him even saying that proves to me how much growth he still wants to make at 58 years old. Like that's a huge deal.
One of the things you realize is like, you know, like you talk about idolizing your parents. You think your parents are formed figures that are going to be that way forever.
Yeah.
And what you find is everybody's constantly growing. We're all trying to figure this shit out still to this day. Like my dad's 67, 68, my mom's 67, 68. They're trying to get better. They're trying to grow. That's like, to me, that's a comforting feeling about getting older because it's like, I can still improve on this. Like it doesn't just stop one day and then you're this person. Or at least it shouldn't, right? If you continue to like figure this out and try to get better, it's like, you know, you realize that people are still going through it, you know? And it's like, it gives you a better outlook on, I think. And again, a little more compassion. Like we're all just fucking figuring this shit out, you know?
I would assume now there's even like way more resources to learn about how to be a good parent and like, you know, studies show that if you do this with your son and blah, blah, blah. Whereas like my dad's generation or your dad's generation, they didn't know.
They had no idea.
Did.
Yeah.
But we were talking about
That's why they were smoking cigarettes. Like,
right. And you're like, okay. But think about, like, I had a doctor on the other day, and we were talking about, a lot of things regarding the health of Americans, and the biggest component is the stress we deal with right now, and cell phones and whatever. But he's talking about the stress that a mom and dad go through. Mom and dad would go to work 9 to 5, and in your dad's generation, you'd maybe see him, he would say hello, he would go in the garage, drink a beer, and work on his car or whatever. You would see him maybe the next day at 6 o'clock. Now, he was talking about, they're part-time Uber drivers, and they're driving their kids around, and dance class, and helping with homework and shit. Like, your parents and my parents didn't deal with that as much as you're gonna have to. And it's like, we're over-stressing these parents, and when is it gonna yield a return that's probably not as favorable as you'd want it to be? Like, over obsession and like this helicopter parent for these sons and daughters. You're not raising people that then can be independent.
Yep.
You're raising kids that are then gonna say, well, wait, I'm 18.
Do this.
I need my mom to help me out with this stuff. And it's not their fault, but like you're helping and trying as much as you can.
Dude, it's a constant battle my wife and I are engaged in.
Yeah.
I don't mean like a battle, but like that is true. And it's like, I think a mother's tendency is to be a little more coddling, because that's in their nature, and that's what the babies want also, and like little kids want. I saw this thing again on the internet. Who knows if it's true, but it seems true, that like peak endorphins for boys with their mom are when they're cuddling. Peak endorphins when they cuddle with their mom.
Sure.
Peak endorphins with their father when they're playing with their father. And the reason why I know it's true is because you see that so clearly with my sons. They want mom to snuggle on, and then when they see me, they're like, and that's how they show their love to me. That's just like how they are. And sometimes I'm like, just give me a hug, and they're like, nah. They're like, let's wrestle, yeah. And it's great, but so I think the point is, I think moms sometimes want to be a little more coddling, and the kids need that for sure. But you can overstep that. And then dads can overstep it too and be a little too playful, or not enough coddling, or dads can never say, I love you, or shit like that. So it's like, it's just a balance of like trying to find that. And like, you do want to build independence with a kid. It's like, for me, I'm like, the kid's climbing on something, let him fucking climb. He's going to fall.
Okay.
And then he'll stop.
Yeah.
But like, my wife isn't always thinking that way, She's like, well, what if he falls? It's like, well, he's gonna fall. Yeah. Now, again, I could go a little too far sometimes, where it's like, oh yeah, he's gonna be fine. Then he knocks his teeth, and it's like, God damn it, watch the fucking kid.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
I was trying to teach you a lesson.
Yeah, so it's just a balance. It's like, it's a balance and figuring out. That's why, it's great if you can communicate well, which me and my wife do. We communicate very well, and it's like, there should be a push and pull.
Are you parenting differently than you thought you would?
No, I don't think so. I was like, my father, the later stages of my childhood, it was just my father. And so I had a lot of independence. It was like basically me and my dad were like roommates.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like my older brothers were out of the house the last 16 through 18, last 3 years. And so, yeah, I had a lot of independence. And like, I remember having a conversation with my dad. He's like, I always thought that as a father, you're there to guide and like give insight. Like, if you do this, this is likely to happen. But here, it's your choice at the end of the day. Yeah. And like, that's good for older kids for sure. Like I can't go to my 3-year-old and be like, I'm not going to watch you. So if you run into the street, you're going to get hit by a car. My kid will fucking die from a car, But I do think I'm a little more, I want my kids to experience some independence. It's like, obviously within reason. It's a 3.5-year-old. He's a little crazy, but, and that's hard to do for sure. But I think I'm learning as I fucking go too. I've never had a 3.5-year-old, so this is my first time.
You think you're gonna get him on camera soon or what?
I try not to, man. Yeah, I try not to. When he's old enough,
though,
I know. But when he's old enough to like say, I want to do this or I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
The last thing I'd want is like, dude, you get to middle school, high school. Like, I think a lot about like what his experience is going to be like in middle school or high school. Cause like, if I'm still kind of on this trajectory or like, in a public eye in a small, tiny little sense, you know, it's like your dad's the influencer. I don't know how that's going to go. You know, it's
so
like,
interesting. Because like in 10 years, right, you're 45. Why would you not still be making content?
Yeah.
And your son's going to be in middle school or high school now. Like if they could perceive it as like, whoa, that's really cool. But if they don't, and it's like, your dad's still making TikToks. Like, and now you don't, like, that's a weird, I never thought about that.
Or it's like, even if 90% of the people think it's cool, what's that 5-10% that is fine looking for anything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. Like, I think about the Costco guys a lot. Like, I wonder what that son. And I think the son's great. I think he's awesome on camera. He has a personality. The kid is just, you know, seems very positive. But like, there's gonna be a point in time where bullies are like,
dude. I mean, I have my
fair opinions. You know?
Yeah, I have my opinions on it. Personally, I wouldn't want to. I want my kid to be an age where he's like making a sound decision about it, whether he wants to do it or not.
Right.
And like, you know, however that looks. Like, obviously, I talk about my son. You know, like I make like conversations with my 1-year-old, you know, or like,
so funny though.
Yeah. Like the other day, that one video I did where it's like, Dad, if you put a bed in the jungle, 100% what he said.
Dude, that
which
was
is like
hilarious.
so funny. It's like, it's content I have to put out there, but.
Well, I think there will be like this evolution of, because you act out as your son, which is great. There's going to be a point in time where he's old enough to actually speak to like, you know, and form like actual sentences to the camera. And people are going to want to hear him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be like this give and take of like, how much do I
it's
give?
like, I take the thought, and like, no knock to everybody does their own shit, you know, but for me personally, I kind of want to keep him out of it and let him, you know, if he ever gets to a point like where he wants to start doing it, let's do it. But like, you know, I'll let him, you know, when he's ready to make that decision. Yeah.
So what was the first skit style content that you made that was like oh wait, this is actually a better path than Grill Guy path?
Dude, it was the dumbest video. It was something that was like the amount of blinks my wife, or no, the amount of time between blinks tells you how mad my wife is. So it's like, if she's like this, it's not mad, but if she's like, she's really mad.
Yeah.
Looking back, it's so dumb. It's horrible.
But it's relatable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like relatable. But then like, you know, that was the first one I tried to edit. Like I tried to do my own editing, you know, on like TikTok and Instagram. And then I'd say the first ones that got like traction, the first one that really, really got traction was when they call you about your car's extended warranty. I did that like 2 years ago. And it was like, hey, what's up, bro? Can I get your like social security? It's like, yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, like it's basically like how they want the call to go.
Yeah.
That was like my first one that got like, I think 1 million, and you know.
I love the mechanic one where you're like, you have to act like oh, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I get that.
That was an old one too. That was like an earlier on one that I like redid. But yeah, like my first few videos are like, when do I feel like the biggest pussy?
But like I was just gonna mention the one where you're like, well, I realized that truth with my wife doesn't work. I just have to be wrong all the time. Even when I'm right, I'm wrong, and that's just how it's gonna be.
The Hall & Oates thing.
Yeah.
Another dead on true story.
Yeah.
No, like I play that up and make it seem like my wife was like, she wasn't. It was like a funny little conversation, but it sparked in my head like, oh, if I do this up a little bit, you know,
you realize like you're finding a trend of like what what character your audience likes. You know what I mean? Like one of my favorite videos of yours is the chicken parm one.
Thanks. Yeah, I just
like the over like awkward and weird.
It's like some guy breathing on you.
Yeah. Like that character, that character plays really well for you. So I'm assuming you can kind of match that, and maybe there's like, you know, an evolution of like people know based on the t-shirt you're wearing, the type of guy you're about to present. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think stuff like that is really cool.
I always I try to bridge a gap because like I would see people that I thought were really talented and they did like one character and like, and they did it so much that anytime they tried to do another one, they would just shit the bed. Yeah. And so they were stuck being this person on the internet that is just one character. And so I always was like, I tried to get away from that. Cause I'm like, I want to be able to do other things. I don't want to be, I also, not just skits. I also want to be able to just rant into the phone, you know, which I like, that was hard for me to do too. And those videos still never do that great, but I'm like, I want to be able to showcase that type of stuff.
As long as there's like a floor that like you're okay with, like
Yeah.
if it's 1,000 likes or whatever it is right now, like that's
Yeah.
if you're ranting or maybe like, hey, I want to tell you guys an announcement for selling tickets or whatever, you need that too.
You do.
Not every video is going to be super viral, but
Yeah.
that's okay as long as you know, like, wow, I just spoke about nothing and 50,000 views on a video and these comments, people seem to care. Like for what? That's a big deal,
dude. It's so, and then you also just never know.
No, you don't.
I had a video where I literally had fallen asleep. It was like probably 7 at night. I put my kid down and I fell asleep like in his room, like on the floor. And I walked into the other room. I was like way out of it. It's like 8:30. I grabbed my phone and a comment that was like, "You used to be my teacher." And it was like, one of my students.
Yeah.
And I was like, type shit.
Yo, that's again one of my favorite videos.
It got like 2 million views on Instagram and TikTok. Video, it's got like 5 million altogether.
I love that video.
I literally I was like dazed. I was like type shit and like didn't think. I was like, whatever, I'll put this on TikTok and like nothing will happen. And then it blew up on TikTok. So I'm like, all right, I'll just put it on Instagram. And then it blew up on Instagram. I was like, what the fuck?
People, it's so funny when like when it blows up on one platform, it tends to do really well. Like, again, goes back to human behavior. It's very consistent. People aren't as different as they think. You get it? The same process you just went through to watch that video. Maybe you watched it for 15 seconds, you commented, you liked it. You're kind of like engaged, you're kind of not, and you put it away. You're like, why is that video have 1 million views? Well, you just watched it for half the video. Yeah. The same the people are doing that the exact same way you are. You know? Yeah.
One thing I've learned on the internet is that we all have the same fucking like existence.
Yeah.
It's just like we're not that different.
We're not that different.
But like some of those are like my favorite comments, or it's like I've literally never had a unique experience on this earth.
You think it is, and then you see 1,000 people commenting on a video where like that exact same thing.
Like the most niche shit you can think of, you put it on the internet and everyone's like, yep. Same with me.
It's comforting though, to know like you're almost heard in like your nonsense of like, am I going fucking crazy? Yeah. Like so are they. It's okay.
It's funny.
Yeah. It's really so good. What's next for the content career here?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna push. I'm definitely on this trend of like building out a stand-up set. Again, easier to talk about, harder to do, but it's been fun kind of like doing that. I'm writing a little bit, which has been fun. I acted in a short horror film.
No way.
Which is like something totally different than I've ever done. It's supposed to be out this week, but it was a blast. Like really fun. It was dead serious. I did nothing funny. Well, there was like one scene that my face is my face, so like it's a funny thing. Yeah. But like, yeah, it was like there was no direction from the director to be funny. It was like be serious. Wow. And I had a blast doing it. So I'd love to act for sure. You know, and then just see where it goes. I'm like really into my podcast right now, also with Georges Niang. Yeah. Do you mind if I plug? Called The Bench Seat.
Please plug away, man.
So that's been cool. I mean, the Cavs being really good helps because he's on the Cavaliers and they've started posting it on their socials, which
I saw that.
Yeah, they have like 17 million followers, so it's like a help, you know, for sure. So yeah, I got my feet and hands in a lot of fires right now. So
now, is the podcast more serious basketball talk, or it's kind of like blasé, casual, you and your boy?
George and I have a very similar like personality. Like we're like goofy. Like I like filmed him the other day. Like, you know, I like to catch him off guard when he's not paying attention. So like I was filming his feet. I put on my story and I was like, damn, where'd you get those? And he just started going, type shit. And it was just, I felt like I was watching me. That's exactly what I do. It was like a funny video. But he's goofy, but also is great on the mic, can talk like about basketball. I mean, dude, I don't know if you've seen Georges Niang. He's 6'7". He's not the most athletic dude in the world, but he's played 10 years in the NBA and he's on a $27 million contract because he's smart and he can shoot the shit out of the basketball and he's big, but he's extremely smart, knows the game very well, and he can talk about the game. So like there is that serious aspect where we do cover basketball, and that is a passion of mine, obviously. But it's constantly us fucking with each other also. Like
you need a mix.
Like I was talking on my last one, like the Cavs played the Thunder. It's like the two best teams. And like it was a great game. And I always talk about how I was a high school coach and he gets so pissed.
That's so funny.
And so like I dead serious was like, Oh man, that game was so good. Like honestly, dude, it felt like I was in the gym of a high school, like a really good high school game. And he's like, "Shut the fuck up!"
You're like, "I get it, man."
He's like, "We're pros. We're the best." I'm like,
"You're like, no, my 17-year-olds did that too. That was really cool. The way you dunked that ball, yeah, no, they did that." Or you're like, "Remember when I dropped 31?"
Yeah. It's like I drop it, or I'll always be like, "Yeah, like when you had your career high, 33, which is one less than mine. Mine's 34."
That's so funny, man. Yeah, like again, it wouldn't be as funny if you were both really good NBA players. Like it makes it again, we talk about the separation. It's like you're so much more relatable.
Well, I'm
and
just
that's what
an
I want to
idiot.
see.
Yeah,
like
you just idiot with the camera.
You're just you, man.
Yeah.
Like we said. So
it's been cool.
I love that, man. Well, we ask every guest the same questions at the end of the podcast here. In life, what has been the lowest of your lows, and then followed up with what's been the highest of your highs?
Oh, I had cancer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What kind?
2019, living in the one over there. Took a shower, felt a little nub on my nuts. Yeah. And so went into Sloan Kettering. My friend who was a nurse got me in. Actually, the truth is, here's the truth. This is going to be like a buzzkill.
Don't worry.
My wife had won President's Club for her job. Now she's a regional sales manager. She runs sales leaders. This was when she was a sales leader. Mm. She won President's Club. We had an all expenses paid trip to Hawaii. I couldn't take the whole week off of work because I was teaching. Mm. My wife had the whole week there. So she left on Sunday. Sunday night, she leaves to Hawaii. My flight's Tuesday night. Okay. So I'm going to go to school Monday, Tuesday. I take 3 days off. I had a ultrasound on my testicle like a week before that. And a doctor over here was like, nah, "You're fine. I don't feel anything, but go get an ultrasound. Maybe it'll show something, but I don't feel anything. You should be fine."
Wow.
And actually asked me if I want an ultrasound. And thank God I was like, yes, I would like an ultrasound. And the reason why, again, my best friend, who I was the best man at his wedding, he was the best man at my wedding, had testicular cancer when we were 17.
Holy shit.
So I was super conscious of it.
I'm sure that doctor now changed his whole perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean, I never even talked to that doctor afterwards.
Of course, yeah.
So I go get an ultrasound. I don't get any results. Usually if you don't get results, that's a good thing. Mm. So I was like, okay, the portal never sent me anything. So I was like, cool, good to go. She's gone. Monday night, I get a text that says your results are now ready. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, so my ultrasound's in. I'm like sitting home alone. My ultrasound's in. I open it up. It says like all these things that sound like cancer, like lesions, like you've like 2 centimeter lesions. And I text my friend who's a nurse at Sloan, and I'm like, hey, I just got these results. Like, is this like what I think it is? And she called me and she's like, did a doctor review this with you? And I'm like, no. She's like, you really got to go see a urologist tomorrow. And I'm like, me, is this? And she like wouldn't say. And like, I didn't want to push her because I was like, okay. So I basically got diagnosed like through a text, like at my house, which was crazy. So then the next day I'm at school and I'm calling everybody trying to get a doctor to review the results with me. No one.
Why?
Dude, it was crazy because the doctor here, the way I got down to it, finally I wrote an email to the hospital. I'm not going to put the hospital on blast, but I wrote an email to the hospital. I said, hey, I'm pretty sure I have cancer and I'm pretty sure you guys just diagnosed me via text. Is this how you handle all your patients? And that finally got a response because I'm sure they thought I was going to fucking send a lawsuit or something. So a doctor called me. Then they're like, come see our urologist. I came to see the urologist that day. They like got me in. And he's like, I guess he had thought I had already been diagnosed. Like no one had said this whole time, you have cancer. Mm-hmm. So I like went to this office and I think in this doctor's defense, he thought I'd already been diagnosed. And he's like, okay, cool. Yeah. So your testicle is going to come out Thursday and then we'll take it from there. And I was like,
time out.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. What? Like my testicle's coming out? Like, what the fuck? I had no idea. Like, I'm like, that is news to me. He's like, and he said like, we can't tell you it's cancer until we see it, but it's cancer. So that was probably the lowest of my lows, which was crazy because like Monday, then I have to call my wife who's in Hawaii on this trip and be like, I have cancer. Like, and she was in the loop on everything and knew when I got that text Monday night and shit. And then had to be like, yeah. And so she's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm like, stay there. She's like, no, I'm not coming. I'm like, and like the doctor was like, just go to Hawaii. It's not going to make a difference. And I'm like, I'm not going to go to Hawaii. Yeah, the doctor's like, just go. A week's not going to make a difference, but you got to get it out next Thursday. And so this is a long story long. My friend got me in at Sloan. Thank God. I went to go see this doctor. He's like, yeah, I mean, if you're going to get bumps somewhere and you're going to get tumors somewhere, you want them on your nuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like, you're not going to die. First thing he said to me, hey, what's up? I'm Dr. Scheinfeld. You're not going to die. So that's good. Cool. I was like, cool. He like cracks a Diet Coke.
Yeah. All right, Doc.
Swear to God. Yeah.
What the fuck?
And then on my surgery, I like walk in and he's scrolling seamless. My surgery was like 11. It honestly made me more comfortable because I'm like,
for sure.
Okay, this is routine for you. This is the most terrifying moment of my life. And you're figuring out like what dim sum you're going to fucking get, dude. You're about to rip the testicle out of my fucking body. And then you're going to go order a fucking, a cheesesteak.
Yo, like say goodbye to my nut, but what do you want to eat?
Yeah, exactly, dude.
That is insane. Yeah. So they take it out.
And it was localized. My first scan, so I got a scan in that week.
Of course.
First scan was like, it's localized. It's right in your testicle.
Oh, good.
Usually at this, so I was on the later stage, 17 to like 35. It's the most common form of cancer in dudes. When you get it earlier, I know. When you get it earlier, it's usually more aggressive. When you get it later, it's usually more localized. So they're like, you probably have the localized version. We'll take it out. You should be fine. I'm like, okay, great. I was getting married in August of that year. This was in May. So I was like, cool, be all good. And then I get the testicle out. I go back to work. I'm like kind of starting mentally to move on a little bit. And then I go back for a scan 3 weeks later. It's like, let me just make sure everything's okay. And it had spread everywhere. It's like up in my lungs. It just fucking took over my midsection. So they were like, yeah, you're going to be in for a long summer. Like you need to start chemo like tomorrow. Like this is really aggressive. And I hadn't even frozen my sperm yet. So I was like, can we start a week from Monday? He's like, we can, but we shouldn't. But you need to freeze your sperm, so go freeze your sperm.
Did you feel any type of way? Like, did you feel sick?
No, dude. But looking back, as weird as it sounds, it was probably like that winter. I was feeling weird. Yeah, like more so mentally. I was feeling just weird, like anxious, depressed. So I always wonder if like what the correlation,
if any,
whether it's the depression leading to or that leading to this or whatever, or just my body knew something was up.
I'm sorry. After getting your testicle taken out, before you just felt this like angst to your body.
Yeah,
that's a crazy feeling.
Yeah. So then of course did like 100 hours of chemo. Like the chemo is fucking the disease doesn't kill you 95% of the time. Which is like great, but like if someone said, "Hey, dude, you're gonna go to work tomorrow, 95% chance you're gonna live," you'd be like,
"Okay."
You'd be like, "I like those chances, but that's scary, you know." But the chemo's rough, so the chemo knocks you on your ass. Yeah, so that summer was rough.
How long did you have chemo for?
From June 1st to first week of September. So like
the whole
but you do like a week on, 2 weeks off, week on, 2 weeks off.
When was it at its worst?
It's cumulative. So the last one is the worst. You're like a zombie. You're like.
Can you compare it to any sort of feeling? Being sick with the flu or something?
Yeah, it's like being sick with the flu. Yeah, it's like being sick with a really bad flu, but there's all these symptoms that you don't get. Like you get sores in your mouth. You get a really gross taste in your mouth. Your piss smells gross. Because your body's like decaying from the inside out. You look sick. You're like plumped up with steroids. So you're like puffy. Dude, I'll show you a picture. It's fucked. Wow. So yeah, I mean, dude, that obviously put a lot of perspective in my life. I was about to say,
do you have like a greater appreciation for just being healthy now?
You face your mortality and you're like, I'm good now.
Shut the fuck up.
Show the camera. It's fucked, right?
Oh, that's not you.
No, I know. It's crazy. So, yeah, this is in Jersey City. This is my first run.
Post?
Yeah.
Post chemo?
Yeah, run. It was like a half a block and I almost shit my pants, so I went back inside.
But, dude, you got outside.
Got outside, so it was rough, dude. Yeah, it was a rough, couple months.
I just can't believe that they didn't give you a scan earlier.
Well, they scan you, then they take it out and they scan you again.
And then what?
And then if it's localized, they just keep giving you scan. Like if they take your testicle out and you're all clear, then you just keep getting scans for a year. So you still had cancer, but you're not doing.
So why did it spread so fast? They didn't.
It's just the type of cancer I had. You can't tell what it is until you biopsy it. You know.
No, right, but then so like you get your testicle taken out. Are you scanning like weekly, bi-weekly? How?
It was like 2 weeks later or something. Like
and that test was fine.
That first one after the very first one after my, shit was fucking everywhere. Yeah. So it really fast happened. Yeah. I was like, went from, 1A to 2B, which is almost stage 3. Stage 3 is when there's like metastasize in your lungs. There was lesions on my lungs, but it wasn't fully like tumorous.
Okay. So for anybody out there, if you get your testicle taken out, you should immediately.
Yeah. And I have a lot of people. It's funny because like I've had people that I connected with. My friend Rob got diagnosed. I was like a follower, DM'd me. I talked to him. We're like friends now. I went and visited him at the hospital. So that, like it happens a lot, Yeah. Or people will be like, I think I feel something. And it's like, a lot of people have enlarged testicles or they have like a soft enlargement. That's called epididymitis. Something, happens on your balls. Yeah, it's regular.
No, I have large. What are the
you
tubes?
have giant balls?
I have huge. You're like, hell yeah, dude, nice.
Tiny cock, huge balls.
It's not
dude.
sick at all, dude. No, the tubes or whatever are large.
Yeah.
So when I was young, I was like, oh my god,
what the fuck? Yeah.
Dude, what is this? And then the doctor's like, you're fine, dude. It's nothing.
If it's hard, if it literally feels like a knuckle, it's fucked. I know.
So actually, I've only passed out twice in my life. The first time I've ever passed out was in high school. So I've wrestled, played football. So I'm used to seeing other dudes' dicks in the locker room.
Hell yeah, fucking love cocks, bro.
Fucking take it out. Yeah, whatever. But for whatever reason, I was 17 senior year.
This guy's cock was so huge.
I was like, whoa. No. So we're in health class and we're watching how to test for testicular cancer.
Yeah.
And again, I was like, I've seen dicks before. I don't really care. And for whatever reason, when I got on the screen and they started like doing this thing, I looked at it and I went, and I bang, I passed out. And the next thing I know, I'm in a wheelchair.
Did you rock your head?
No, I just passed like this in the chair. And then the nurse put me in and I'm like, what's going on? Like, yeah, you passed out. And I was like, because I saw fucking balls. Like, grow up, dude. Like, what are you talking?
Got so horny.
I was like, what? Dude,
all the blood rushed to your balls.
Yeah, right. Holy shit.
Rock hard boner. Yeah. The nurse was like, really?
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Why are you horny and sweating,
I don't know,
dude? I don't know, dude.
Yeah, you didn't see that or what? Am I the only one here? Yeah, I don't know, man. For whatever reason, when they did this with the...
It's fucked. I know.
Oh, my God. It freaked me the fuck out.
And like having a doctor do that to you every time you go is like weird. Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Should people get tested like regularly?
No, you just check yourself. Just fucking feel your nuts. Do that. I know it's fucking weird. Don't pass out. I know.
I could throw up right now. Again, it brings
you gotta like feel around if you feel anything hard. I felt it because when I pee this time, I take balls and wiener out with the pee.
Right,
I don't just put the wiener out of the thing. I take balls out.
Well, unless you have a 10-incher, it's the weight distribution. Is sometimes
yeah, you got to get the
right. You need
so
help.
I was taking both out, and on the back of my testicle, I felt a little nubber. Oh. I was like, "That's a fucking nub, dude."
What is that? A third one?
No, yeah. I was like, "What is that?" It was tiny, but it fucking
All right, well, that's good to know.
That's lowest moment. Highest moment.
Right. Anyway. Oh yeah. Sorry, we are podcasting.
I know. It's weird because there is. You want to say the birth of your kid, but that isn't a. You don't get this euphoric, quick.
Because you're almost nervous, like you said.
Yeah. When it happens is, as corny as this sounds, it happens when you're putting your kid to bed on a Tuesday night, and you're like playing with your kid and wrestling, and he's laughing, and he's in his pajamas. And you're just like, this is peak life. It does not get better than this.
So what was a better feeling in the moment? The first time you felt healthy again from chemo or playing with your son on random Tuesday?
It's not even close. It's playing with my son. It's not even close, dude. Wow. It's like, I say this to people like new fathers. It's like, I've had a lot of crazy shit. I've lived a lot of different lives and awesome lives, and it's not even close.
Wow.
Peak life, the best thing life has to offer is fucking when your kid is like, I love you, daddy. You're just like, I love you too, dude.
Hell yeah, bro.
Or just like, man, it's so like cliche. It's
awesome.
like the tiniest moments. You're like watching Daniel Tiger and you look around and you're like, dude, how did I get here? Like, what the fuck? I was literally just bartending like yesterday and like getting rip roaring drunk on a Sunday night and then waking up and going to school the next day.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? But you're just like, this is the best. There's nothing better than this.
You just built a friend.
Just built a friend, dude. You built a family.
Yeah.
It feels good to be able to say, my kids are in a house, again, corny. My kids grew up in a house that has a lot of love. There's like love in this house. We don't talk shitty to each other. My wife and I aren't telling each other to shut up or anything like that. You know, every marriage has their tiffs, of course, but my kids are in a house that's calm and loving, and that's more than I could ever ask for.
That's
so
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
And now I have one ball. You guys like dicks?
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, that's it for today. You're like, oh, no, good. No, thank you for coming on, man. That was awesome.
Thanks, man. That was really fun.
Great. As always, everybody like, subscribe, share all that good stuff. Cheers.